Welcome back to another episode of the Course Creation Incubator. I'm Gina Onativia, and I've got a confession to make. I've been really struggling with creating this podcast. It's not you, it's me. I felt like I was in a slump. I was leading the team, winning in straight sets, getting some aces in between, then all of a sudden, things switched up. I was hitting a ton of unforced errors. I was double faulting. My attention was divided, and I was really struggling. I wasn't leading the team, and I was not happy. And listen, it came down to not making this podcast the priority that it needs to be, like I want your course creation to be. 41 weeks ago, geez, I can't believe it's been that long. 41 weeks ago, I decided to take on this endeavor and make it a pillar of the content and resources and value I want to give to you. That doesn't mean it's always been smooth sailing or that priorities haven't shifted over the last 41 weeks. Like recently, I've taken on a few bigger clients, which has been amazing. And I'm really excited about the upcoming books, courses, projects that are coming down the line. But these clients have taken up quite a bit of my focus, which means this podcast thing kind of gets moved to the back burner. The stove's still on and everything's still cooking, but it wasn't getting my fullest, best attention. Can you relate? And I never want to lose sight of this podcast and serving you along with it. So I'm making a conscious decision. I've done this in the last few days to bring it back to the forefront. And after making that decision, I feel like I got a little bit of my mojo back. And I thought, let's talk about what happens when you feel your attention slipping away or like you haven't been yourself. You're struggling with your course creation. You've hit a slump. And more important, how to get it back. Because let's be honest, it's going to happen. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you that course creation is going to flow every week, right? That you're going to do your best work, the birds will chirp and sing and love you every day. There's going to be ups and downs. And I want you to be able to get through the downs and get your course done, to ride the roller coaster back up. And I'm going to work through 4 steps that help me get out of my own course creation slump and my own podcast slump, in the hopes that when you need this episode, it's here for you. If you ever feel like you're not delivering your best work, I got your back. Because the best know how to work through their slumps, right? Champions always find their way back. And yes, you are a champion. I feel like Bo Eason right now, who's my mentor and client. So let's go, champ. Let's get to those steps. Step 1, take the pressure off of you right now. It happens. Even the best athletes in the world face slumps. I've seen so many world-class tennis players lose in round 1 of a big tournament just to come back and win the next tournament or even a slam. So be aware that you're in a slump and then tell yourself it's okay. I knew I was in a slump, by the way. I told my team I'll work out of this, I'll get through it, but I just need a little bit of time. And what was great is that my team all jumped in to help me. What do you need right now? Do you need topics? Do you need help brainstorming ideas? So ask yourself, once you acknowledge your slump, what needs to happen for me to get through this? How can I deliver B or B plus work until I work through it? Or who do I need to enlist? And next time I'm in a slump, I'm going to jump in to sign up a series of podcast guests to take the pressure off of me. I might even tap someone on my team to give me topics and scripting ideas. What do you need to do to take the pressure off? Step 2, recover and rest. Once you've acknowledged, I want you to recover. It seems so simple, right? But I think that sometimes as achievers, we feel like we need to push through. We think, let's get it done. I had a hell of a week this week, and I pushed through and then tried to script and plan a course, and bam, I hit a wall. So the next day, I stayed off my phone all day. No email, no social, nothing. And Alex, Tristan, and I, we played tennis. We hit up a new cafe. And I came home and I slept for 2 full freaking hours. 2 hours. And let me tell you something. I needed that. That decision to push myself was right in the middle of a slump, and it was getting me nowhere. Taking that day off, though, I felt like I made a full recovery just by giving myself that rest and time away. Now, not even a week later, I'm plugging away with my scripts. I've got the energy. I'm here with you, and I'm more excited than ever to work on my stuff and to create content for you. Now, I laugh because Bo was talking about this the other day. Bo played for the Houston Oilers in the 80s, And he said in the 80s, there was no such thing as rest or recovery. You just went for it. You broke through it. Now, it's a new concept for some of us, especially not to go, go, go. And look, I'm from right outside New York, the city that never sleeps. So accepting rest and being okay with tapping out for a day is still something I'm learning. And you should meet my family. Every single person in my family, go, go, go. My dad can't sit down. Either can my brother. And I inherited that too. So what's your recovery routine? Mine's a day of no phone, social media, email, going to play tennis, or going for a hike and disconnecting. Yours might be getting a massage. I want to shout out Prerna Malik at Content Bistro for a minute. Prerna is a friend and collaborator, and she takes self-care, in my opinion, to the next level. She's always posting about these awesome getaways or hotels that she's exploring, and I have to admit, I live vicariously through her. Now, that's how she treats herself to recovery days, and I bet that makes her an even stronger entrepreneur. But by the way, it doesn't have to be so elaborate. If you can't spare a full day, go for a walk around the neighborhood. 30 minutes of reading a new book, 10 minutes of yoga, 5 minutes of playing with your dog. If it helps you relax, that's self-care. Those little things add up, and those little things can definitely help you break through when you're having a slump. By the way, I'm going to have Prerna on the podcast soon, and we'll talk about her recovery and her genius copywriting methods. Also part of recovery is the purposeful disconnect. Here's an addendum to step 2. When you set aside time to recover, I want you to do it purposefully. Now, I mentioned tennis earlier. I'm a tennis fanatic. Alex and I will watch any tournament, ATP or WTA. We are obsessed with watching tennis. Now, when players mess with their strings between points, if you've ever watched a match before, you see this. They're disconnecting. They're recovering from the stress of the last game and visualizing how they want to play the next point, right? There's a purpose to that disconnect, and I love that. How can we bring that into our own lives as entrepreneurs, right? As course creators. So it turns out when I have my rest and recovery days, the days I decide to disconnect, it's actually serving a bigger purpose. Because when you go hard, when you push yourself, you're not going to hit that ideal performance state. It's virtually impossible. Even if you don't have time to plan a recovery day, think about setting aside some time to disconnect, recover, and visualize your next win. Tennis pros can do this in 15 to 20 seconds. I think we can do that too. I think we can make that time. All right, step 3, feed your mind with fire under your ass content. Nothing gets me through a slump like fresh ideas. Hello, that's why I list reading a good book under self-care ideas. I've been consuming a lot of content lately. Now, most of it has been for work, for clients. So it's been awesome and really intellectual for me, but it hasn't lit a fire under my ass the way I really need it to. I need books or podcasts or videos that are relevant to what I want to teach, to what I want to talk to you about in this podcast. That's what gets me fired up and ready to create. Now, I didn't realize this until I picked up a marketing book and listened to some new podcasts the other day. 20 minutes in, I was searching for my notebook to write down all the ideas I had. How are you making sure to inspire yourself with the right perspectives, the ones that get you fired up? Or another great way to get fresh ideas, talk to some of your students. I'm getting incredible ideas from my current class of 6-week accelerators and their experience right now. Don't underestimate connecting with students to help you get moving. And finally, the 4th point, step 4, make time for your creative process. And I was clearly not doing this. I didn't really want to do this because I needed to make the space for recovery first in order to feel good about making time for what I had to do and the steps in my creative process. Because here's something I realized. Once you give yourself permission to do something, in this case, permission to take a tiny bit of time off to relax and rest, you get more comfortable giving yourself permission for other things. So for me, it was permission to embrace my creative process and not just treat it as a sometimes thing. And I've mentioned my process before on this podcast. I whiteboard, I get on the treadmill to download, I get it transcribed, and I do an edit. Well, the cool thing is I feel so rested right now that I scripted this from scratch. I sat down and just wrote. I was in my flow. Now, I haven't done that in a long time, partly because I just didn't feel inspired or energized enough. So here's the 2-hour naps, if you could squeeze those in. Think about your creative process and what needs to happen to make space for it. Check out my episode on deep work if you haven't already. There are some great tips in there to create some amazing rituals for your routine. I'll link to that episode in the show notes. There's a few steps to get you roaring back onto the court and start hitting winners again. I want you to take the pressure off yourself, recover and rest, feed your mind, and make time for your best work. Now, drop me a line in Insta. What do you do when you're not delivering your best work? How do you shake it off? And how long does it take you to bounce back? Please rate and review this episode and then subscribe. I would love to get the word out about this podcast. Until next week, go create, be you and be brilliant, and get it done.